Welcome to a special bonus edition of the OFX podcast. I get a chance to sit down with Yancy Culp, founder of Deka, and we go over Canada's first ever Deka Fit. So full length, 5K in between each stations, Deka Fit Roadshow being held in Ancaster this coming weekend. So before we go to the interview, we just wanted to clear up something that there's a lot of talk in the interview about 125 meter out and back, doing out and back, two of those for the running portion, the 500 meters, when in actuality, it will be longer. It'll be more like it'll be a 250 meter narrow loop, very similar in style to what you saw at Deka Fit World Championships for the Deka Mile, but it will be the 250 meter distance. So as well, if you're doing a Deka Fit relay, you can break it up where each person can run the 250 meters. And that's it. So with all that cleared up, let's get to Yancy Culp. So first off, I guess I got a bunch of stuff to talk to you about. All right, I almost don't know where to start. So
Let's
I want
go.
to ask you first about the roadshow, Deka Roadshow. All right, because this is information people have asked me, and I'm not 100% sure on. The roadshow is a little bit different than a regular Deka Fit, isn't it?
Slightly.
Yeah.
And we'll cover the really and truly only a couple very, very basic things. So we'll rent out the same type of large scale space that we would for a regular Deka Fit. You know, we need about 60,000 square foot minimum to hold that just shy of 2-lap course. Hell, if you want, we can even go into the specific details on how we measure that out and stuff. But so that's going to be the exact same setup. The start line will always be right by zone 10, if you've ever noticed that. And then we count backwards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Always running just shy of 2 laps. The measurements are identical. The zone setups are the same. So the look and the feel is there. You're just missing the brand. You know, you don't have all the glitz and the glam and the branding everywhere. And we will have 3 timing mats, which we want to do that because we want to make sure people are not missing their laps. We can red flag people that accidentally or on purpose miss their laps. So you'll have a start line mat, a finish line mat, and a mat out on the running course, but you will not get zone splits. We just can't stand that up. It's just a huge timing lift. You need 10 more additional mats. The only 2 modifications are zone 4 is 25 med ball sit-ups, just like a stronger mile. We did a lot of testing on that. And, you know, it's with 15 different athletes doing the same, you and I, let's say we tried it 15 different times. Within like 1 second, the times are almost identical. So really and truly, that's a wash. Zone 8's not the same though. You know, zone 8, we get rid of the yokes because those are traveling on 2 tractor trailers. So what we did, shoulder overs are obviously a little faster. So to make up for that time, I've tested it multiple times. We go with 25 dead ball shoulder overs instead of 20 yoke overs, and that makes that pretty much a wash. Other than that, the rest of the zones are identical, as you would see on game day for a regular large-scale Deka Fit. So you're just missing the glitz and the glamour. We don't do, there's other than that, it's pretty much the same, give or take.
What about the farmer carry? So the farmer carry, is it like a strong?
We do
like a fit?
No, we do a maze. We do a maze for the farmer's carry for a Deka Fit roadshow.
Okay, because that is a big difference, that one, because like I know my time, like, you know, if I do a Deka Strong, my time's like, let's say between 50 and 60 seconds. But if I'm on a fit course, it's like 30 seconds, 35 seconds, right? So that's why that's where I would see the big discrepancy. But other than that, it should be, I see the times would be very, very, very good. So I'm glad you, because I thought the farmer carry was that way too.
Now and there's always some method to the madness. The gears are always turning in my brain on the Deka Fit. The Deka Fit gym hosted event is going to be different. We didn't want, we wanted you to be able to keep all your equipment indoors in a small space. So the way we make up for zone 6 being a down and back times 5 for our 125 meter out and back run, gym hosted like that's going to happen in Ontario soon. Obviously, down and back 5 times in zone 6 takes longer than the maze.
Yeah.
So what we do is we stay with the I'm sorry, let me back up. We go 20, we stay with 20 dead ball shoulder overs. So that speeds up zone 8. Zone 8 is going to be a little faster than the yoke overs.
Yeah.
Zone 6 is going to be a little slower. We tested it on site for several Deka Fits, and it pretty much washes it out, give or take a couple seconds. So you'll be a little slower at Deka Fit on zone 6 at the Ontario event, and you'll be a little faster on zone 8.
All right. Yeah, because I knew, like I said, I knew there'd be subtle differences and everything like that, and that's cool. But the big question is, you can still qualify for Worlds at this.
Yes. Yeah. And I personally love the 125 out and back twice course concept because it does allow a lot of other countries that have trusted us, like Canada and the UK and a couple others. Hey, we just got our first gym affiliate in Ireland, by the way, today. But
Nice.
it allows you guys to bolt on Deka Fit up there without having to have the 2 tractor trailers. And it is an official World Championship qualifier. So that's, we love that because we had a lot of people in the UK and Canada that would love to try to punch their ticket. And you have a lot of people that want to earn their Deka trifecta without having to travel to the States. So judging's obviously going to be very, very important. Just like all Deka Strongs and Deka Miles, you're going to be required to have a dedicated judge. At Deka Fit, the events you see down here in the States, sometimes we'll have judges dedicated to the zones. And then sometimes the judges will stay. But with a Deka Fit gym hosted event, like you're going to see in Ontario and then UK next month, like if I'm judging you, I'm staying with you throughout your entire Deka Fit. I'm zoned in on making sure you do your 2 down and back runs. You do your zones. It just, we just thought that was extremely important to clean up any, 9 out of 10 times when people make mistakes, it's because they just made a mistake. But there could easily be, if you don't have strict judging for a Deka Fit like this, somebody could easily try to skip a couple runs and it would be hard. You don't have timing mats, but we've done a really good job. You guys have done a really good job with about 1,000 Deka Strong and Deka Mile events without timing mats. And, I would say the people that deserve to be at World Championships last year, those were the people that made it to World Championships. So we love the fact that these awesome gym hosted events can punch that ticket for the small percentage of people that are trying to, they're the cyborgs that want to go to Worlds. And so anyway.
Yeah, you guys have done pretty well because judging's a big deal, man. And we've seen it through a lot of events and it causes a lot of grief and a lot of crap. You've done pretty good. You had a little stuff in the beginning of growing pains with the box overs and with the lunges. Seems like everybody's kind of come to terms with all that and it's all gotten straight out. How do you stay on top of that though? Like how do you solve the problem? Because obviously when you're looking for volunteers, you got to take who you can take because you need people.
Yep.
How do you make sure you get that quality judging?
There's never a day, as the crazy guy that sat down with Joe back in December 2019 and pitched the idea and then taking on the director of sport role as well. There's never a day go by that I don't think about it. And I'm constantly thinking of subtle ways because, we just had 5 or 6 CrossFit boxes on our affiliate call, not our affiliate call, but our how to have an epic event call. We do it every Thursday. Yeah. And for the CrossFitters, the owners, I'm like, there's a fine line, with how we created Deka and the method to our madness and our why. When you think about the common participatory sports that people see and hear all the time, this is what they're hearing every day. Yeah. CrossFit Open, Spartan, Tough Mudder, Marathon, Half Marathon, Triathlon, 10 million people doing the Murph, all this stuff. It's like, that shit scares the hell out of most people. I love it. You love it, but most people aren't testing their fitness. So it's like, we got to create this sport that checks a lot of boxes. It's non-intimidating. It's for all levels of fitness, but it's an official test as well. And we hope to fire up the 10, 20%ers that love testing their fitness. So it is a fine line. Now the reason why I brought that up is because we want there to be strict standards, but we want there to be movements that were not scary. And if you and I bring in Susie or Bill, who are not fit, day one, 100 pounds overweight and unfit, they're going to be able to do it. That guy is going to be able to do the same weight you and I do and do it just like we do. So every mark needs to be judged. Because everybody's mark's going to the global leaderboard, no matter if you're trying to go to world championships or just as an open category. Now, with that being said, I think about this stuff every single day. For example, it hasn't been launched yet. It'll probably get launched in the next day or two, but I made a subtle adjustment to the wording for zone 1. And it's one that needed to be, and it needs to have attention to it. People coming to that zone freaking fired up, man. They're not tired yet. They're all fired up and they're trying to go 90 miles an hour, and people are going to take what you give them. So you see Nelson and I in the zone hollering at people, you got to get up taller and whatnot. And I had a lot of good talks with a lot of our affiliates. And I even kicked out a message to you and Ryan Kent and Tara Jackson and Lauren Weeks and Rich Ryan. And I'm always open I love getting the feedback. It helps so much. I had a great talk with our affiliate owner, Pete Buth, and he's Manic Training, one of our first affiliates in Denver, Colorado. And Pete he brought up a great point. And I went into test mode and I started testing it. He's like, Yancy, try putting it out there that the front knee, that's the front leg, that's the working leg that's doing 99% of the work on the alternating reverse lunge, and you're stepping up out of it. He's like, you don't necessarily need to, preach hip extension, but if you preach knee extension, if that working leg reaches extension and you're not allowing split squat jumps, meaning for a split second, both feet need to be on the ground at the same time, what happens is when you're harboring the weight of the ram up there, it's very hard to keep a forward lean going. It's not easy on you. It's hard on your erectors. It wears your ass out, and it's tough. It makes the rep tougher. So when you reach knee extension, you're naturally going to step up a little taller, and it's pretty easy to see knee extension and coach that as a judge. But hip extension is tough, man. Trying to get 1,000 people to get full hip extension almost requires you to pause and let me see that hip extension. So the new wording, and it's not really going to throw a major curveball, but the new wording is full knee extension, and both feet must be on the ground for a split second at the same time before you start your next rep. So I think it's going to, in a subtle way, help clean things up a little bit. It makes it easier. Now, we never want to be in the situation. I always tell the judges, we are not the CrossFit Open, or I'm sorry, the CrossFit Games, where you're standing there at attention, barking orders as the ref. Yeah. I love the CrossFit, what they created. They created one of the largest fitness movements the world's ever seen. Freaking props to them. In a way, they paved the path for all of us fitness movement, fitness racing stuff, man. They kind of paved the way. So, but we want to walk that fine line to never intimidate an open category person and make them feel like, oh my God, that judge was intimidating. That scares off the people at the gym event. So it's a fine line, but I think this is going to help out a little bit. But I'm thinking about it all the damn time, dude.
So you have reason to think about it all the time. I'm just a nutcase, but I think about it a lot. So my thoughts on the lunges, and that is definitely the hardest part to judge. Everything else is actually really pretty straightforward. My thoughts on the lunges were two things. One, just let them do jumping lunges because it wears you out anyway. But that's one thing. The other thing I had to, and it would actually still fit in with what you're saying, you have a tape line on the floor. Both feet have to be in front of the tape before you're going to your next rep. Just simple and easy. It's more of a marker for the judge to watch. And that way, you say both feet need to touch at the same time before it continue. That little tape line means that foot's in front before the other one goes back.
Yeah, what I did, I love that I heard you guys bring that up. I think somebody even brought it up on the message thread. What I did, I went to the garage, and so I knock out 30 reps. And my feet are pretty much always coming to the same spot. And then I put a tape line down, and it just didn't change. It didn't change. It didn't alter much for me. No. Now it allowed me, if a judge is standing there, it allowed me to create a standard where your feet have to get there. But I watched a bunch of video, and 99% of people without a tape line there, let's optically pretend the tape line is there. They're accomplishing that without the tape line. So I saw pros and cons of that. I saw, okay, now if you're a quarter of an inch shy of reaching that, it's like provides that gray area. Let me see who I got here, Dave. Give me a sec. I don't think it's no, it's somebody. solicitor down there trying to get me to trim my tree limbs or something, dude. Power wash my driveway. They're gonna have to hang out. There were some pros and cons there. It wasn't something that I was definitely against, but I just it could cause as many headaches as it alleviates headaches. So anyway.
Cool. That's good. Yeah, I mean, that's, I mean, these things are always good to bounce off, to try, to do different things. So the Canadian Fit, that's the big thing coming up. We do have a Deca Mile coming this weekend too, but we got the Canadian Deca Fit coming up, which you can still get on. 2024.
Yep.
What are the chances of getting a full Deca Fit in Canada? How's that looking?
Canada's probably the one country that it could definitely happen quickly because, for example, we're going to have the 2 trailers in Philly.
Yeah.
I mean, having the 2 trailers in Ontario is not, it's not a huge logistical issue to take them up into Canada and or possibly have 2, up at now that, Vancouver has their very first gym hosted, the Richmond Oval.
Yes.
If you, that's, I mean, amazing facility. They have an event. So I would love, man, in the perfect scenario, I would love to have at least one in Canada next year where we have the 2 trailers set. And maybe the next year have 2. But it's the one country that where we could use the current trailer set, Mexico being another option, just because we share borders with these 2 countries, but no guarantee, but I sure would love to have it happen, man. But I'm telling you what, I'm really excited for the 29th of July. It's coming up shortly next weekend. That so many Canadians, at least on the eastern side of the country, are going to be able to, for the general fitness folks and people that just love that trifecta that Spartan created, to be able to earn their trifecta, because we've had a lot of successful strong and miles up there without having to come down to the States. And for the cyborgs, man, the fast age groupers and the elites to punch their ticket. We had a handful of Canadians come down and really show their muscle down here and do well. And we had one from France, one from Australia. We had 5 or 6 countries represented, but to have let's say 20, 30, 40 Canadians down here competing, that just makes it feel like more of a world championships. And we love that. And so I'm excited about this. I'm really excited about this format, man, because here's the deal. What we have now is, if it's a region of the United States in 2024 where we don't have a lot of affiliates, or we're not going to take the 2 trailers, if it's Winnipeg, if it's the eastern side, if it's Vancouver, if it's 3 or 4 of these gym hosted Deca Fits, if it's 2 or 3 in the UK, 1 in Ireland, maybe 1 down in Australia. We have a couple Australia gyms that are thinking about bolting this on, where 7 or 8 other countries are holding an official Deca Fit without having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to have the trailer sets and it be official. Because ultimately, I say this all the time, man, is 99% of the reason we exist is supporting the gym affiliates. What's happening inside their gyms to make them better, improve their member retention, exercise adherence, provide lead generation for them and revenue generation. This is going to be a nice payday.
Yeah.
For these gyms. It's going to be a nice payday. It's a higher price. It's a higher ticket price. It takes more equipment. We want Amber, for example, and team are going to have, I think, 5 lines of equipment so we can push a couple hundred people through. But, the 125 out and back, really and truly, if you've ever been to a Deca Mile, any of you listeners, it's not much different setup. Instead of having a cone 80 meter at the 80 meter mark, you have a cone at the 125 meter mark and you go down and back twice. It's not rocket science. It's pretty simple, actually. What we're doing, you're just going to go down and back twice before you go to your zone.
And what about, so this is, I was thinking about, because when you're talking about setups, and I've watched some of the ones over in Spain and stuff, and they got that set up. They're usually, I don't know if it's a basketball arena or a hockey rink or what it is.
Three lapper. Yeah.
3 laps. Part of that actually really appeals to me. Part of it looks kind of cool. Although, yes, 3 laps is going to be slower than 2, logically. But then that quick setup to the mile right after, and that nice stadium format. Is that something ever you think might catch on a little bit over here, maybe, or something like that?
To be
Canada,
honest,
we have hockey arenas in every corner. So.
Yeah, I love, if I can have it my way, and I may not be able to always do this just because of logistics, but every large scale Deca Fit would be a 2 lap course, because I love I have so much respect for the athletes that are very competitive and people like yourself that love trying to serve our brand and help make us better. Man, I want you guys to know that you always have a place at the table. You know, if it's something that we're going to be talking about, you always have a place at the conversation. And we're better because of all of you guys and gals. But you know, if every large scale Deka Fit was always just shy of 2 laps, it provides so much consistency. The 3-lapper, you're always going to be at a slight disadvantage because you're going to have a lot, 50% more turns. And it just slows things down a little bit. And there's a slightly higher risk of getting race brain and forgetting a lap when when it's always just shy of 2 laps. 99% of our people could run that Deka Fit race in their sleep now in our large scale events. It's just, it's such a simple setup. And, but you may see more of the 3-lappers. Puerto Rico was a 3-lapper because they had a small location. Spain, same thing. What I won't do is go the other direction and go to a 1-lapper because that's going to be faster. And, if it's slightly slower, I'm okay with, but really and truly for the other countries, I want them to have the same, the same opportunity to punch that ticket to Worlds if that's what they're trying to do. Now, the 125 out and back, I think, does really, lead us to a fast, some very fast times. Not faster than the large scale Deka Fit. Those are very fast, but you only have a couple. It's a lot of straight line running. Yep. 4 times you're running in a nice fast straight line with just a couple turns. That's going to be, even though it's a 180 turn, it's going to be pretty damn fast. 125 meters, you can really get up to speed. That's a long distance. So I love that. And I've already had talks with Amber and team in the UK. It's very easy to standardize that. So all you have to do, we'll talk through the format real quick, is so you've got your start line. Well, that turnaround cone is always going to be right by the start line. So you're going to start. Let's paint a picture here. Let's say you've got your 5 lines of equipment inside a gym location. You got your bay door up. In this case, they're going to be kind of in a warehouse type barn. So your start line is right over on one side, for example, and you're going to run out 125 meters. You're going to come back. The standard turnaround point is going to be right there by the start line, like right adjacent to it.
Yeah.
I mean, like spitting distance. That's where you're going to turn around. You're going to go out on that 125 meter cone one more time. And then you're going to come to the zones, and you want your start line and the turnaround cone as close as possible to the zones as possible. So now when you're meter rolling that, the way you meter roll that is you actually, I put it through testing. You start at the finish line of each run, which is going to be right about, I recommend that being, I told Amber, you don't want to make your people run too far. Put that right around zone 5, like right in front of zone 5. And you're going to meter roll out to your 125 cone, go back to the start line or that turnaround cone, go back out to your 125 and go back out to that start line, that finish line that's right in front of zone 5. That's going to equal 500 meters.
Yep.
That's how you set it up. It's not rocket science. So, zones 4, 5, and 6, there's going to be almost like zero transition when you come to the finish line. We are going to require you to kind of come back to that finish line though, and then disseminate, kind of just disperse yourself out. But you want to put that right in a central hub. Now you're not going to see 10, 12, 15 pieces of equipment in there. And the zones aren't going to be spread out all over God's green earth. It's going to be very short transitions, just like a Deka mile would be, just a couple more pieces of equipment. So yeah, you might find yourself in total maybe adding a few more meters of transition to a couple of the zones. But really and truly, it's a super basic kindergarten easy setup that I think, if Tara Jackson is running a 33 at a Deka Fit and 1 week later she comes to the Ontario event, I think you're going to see about a 33.
Yeah.
The Puerto Rico, if you saw the Puerto Rico times, I can tell you, I had a lot of messages. Yancy, why was it so slow? Here's 99% of the reason. It was 90 something degrees with freaking 500% humidity. Tara was like, oh my God, I was taking on so much water. Like people were drenched in sweat. And it was like you had a freaking heat blanket draped over your freaking body. So that was the reason those times were a couple minutes slower, 2 or 3 or 4 minutes slower, even from anybody that had ever posted a mark here in the States.
Yeah, she messaged me actually right after that, just going, "Oh my God, it's just dying." She was dying. It was hot, and even in the
Yeah,
relay,
yeah.
you saw it in the relay times and things like that. But
Going back to the Ontario event real quick, and you brought up the teams.
I love the team.
That's the reason we did. I didn't want to do a 250 meter out and back because that would not be conducive to having the teams being able to be done exactly how you and I would team up and do the
Mhm.
big Deka Fit event. Now, if I'm running that first lap, you can be standing at that turnaround point. You take the second run, and I just walk over to my zone.
Yeah.
It's set up just like so. Real, I mean, and we know how fun teams can be, man. That's fast and furious.
So I mean, I'm working a farm girl helping out there, and obviously with Bethany, we're seeing the relays. People freaking love the relays.
Oh
I
my
love
gosh,
the relays.
dude.
I'm
Yeah.
like, so I'm not straight out. I'm planning to go to Worlds. I'm planning to do a relay for the fit, a relay for the mile, and I'm only even going to do the individual for the strong, and then a relay
Love
for
it.
that too. Just because, like to me, I'm all about the relay thing. It's so much fun. It's
Mm-hmm.
so fast and it's so hard hitting, and you put that extra effort in when you got a teammate. You just
Oh my gosh, dude. It's anaerobic bloodbath, and I love it. We teamed up and did it at Ideal World. Myself and Joe Bala went against JP, owner,
Mhm.
founder, creator of the Ram, and Ricardo Molinax, one of our cyborg gym owners, Journey 333 Columbus City. It was the tightest race you could ever imagine. They got us by like 2 burpees, like a 3 minute victory, 3 or 4. I'm sorry, 3 to 4 second victory, and you nailed it. We used different strategies, both teams, and it was just I find myself willing to go. I'm willing to go to that extra, find that extra gear
Mhm.
because my bro, I got to take care of my partner. And it is fast and furious. And I'm laid out on the ground more fatigued than I am if I do it by myself every time. Nick Racker and I did it in Knoxville.
Oh, that was awesome.
So I agree with you, man. And it really checks the box for those, you speak of Farm Girl and the other gyms up there. Every gym has people that they're members of their community, that small percentage of people that are a little nervous about doing it by themselves.
Mhm.
I got you. I'm going to conquer that zone you're scared about. We'll divide and conquer the other 9 together. That's the method of the madness. That's 90% of the reason the teams exist. But man, watching those freaking two cyborgs partner together, it is so damn fun to see a 10 flat Deca
Mhm.
strong or 16, 15-minute Deca mile,
I think sub 10,
25,
sub
26
10
minute
Deca
Deca.
Strongs now.
Yes, in 25-minute Deca fits. It's just fun to watch. So anyway, I think I'm sure Amber and team have some teams going up there, and it'll be fun to watch that. Very first time we had teams at the new format.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing. You're spot on the money about like some people, and even still, everything's about perspective, right? Everything's about perspective. And I remember when you go in the beginning, like everybody can do this, everybody can do this. I'm like, yeah, everybody can do this. This is like, it's not difficult. But having seen some members of the gym I coach at, some of them, well, you're right. They're legitimately intimidated about a lot of stuff, especially the box overs. Box over seems to be
Mm-hmm.
the one that intimidates a lot of people. And I know for a fact that probably at the last strong we hosted, there was probably, I'm going to say 10 people who would not have done it on their own,
Yeah.
who wouldn't have tried
Love
it on
that.
their own. Right. And then I know we're doing a mile this weekend, and I know there's a couple of people again going who would not try it on their own. And then there's other people like I said, like us, who are like, screw this, I'm going all out, I'm going to Worlds. I gotta get out there and do it. By the way, I do like the new teams leaderboard as well on the
Yeah.
website. That works good now
Mm-hmm.
because that was a little funky for a little bit, but it's
It
working good
was. It
now.
was.
But
But
there,
it's a small team of 7 doing all this, and we're constantly trying to get better. So it's good to hear that's been a good improvement.
but there is one big issue. So number 2 in the fit times, Yancy Culp and Nick Riker. Is the fix in? What's going on here? Like what's I don't think we can have this, Yance. This is auto DQ shit.
I will not be racing at World Championships. So if Nick wants to race at World Championships and fit, he's going to have to find a new partner because we're not allowing the subs this year. But you know what? That fits my I was a 400 meter, 800 meter guy, and I'm old now, but it fits my going extremely zone 5 zone 5 red line and getting a brief break. It fits my fitness level, my background very well. And Nick and I surprised some people with that. And man, we'll go toe to toe with anybody any day. And I love that our time has held up really well against a bunch of badass teams.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's sitting up there. So for the record, 26-54, having you guys in second behind Dustin Needham and Rylan Shadegg, and ahead of Paul Fitzpatrick and Austin, who I believe were
1 second, like a half a second. We beat them in Knoxville.
Yeah, and that's the two guys who were second place at Worlds last year, is it not? Am I mistaken on that one?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
so.
So I mean,
I know the podium.
That's not too shabby. That's not too shabby. So you just said something there. Substitution's not going to be allowed this year, and we had that last year. So what's the ruling on that? So if there's an injury, no dice. What's the deal?
As of right now, the way it's written is that you must compete with the person that you got there, that you qualified with. The thing about injuries is it's just, I mean, it opens a door for, hey, Susie can't come or Bill can't come. Well, just say you're dinged up. It's just so easy to say, oh, I'm dinged up. It really and true. There's just no way to control that. It's extremely easy to control, and I think there's a little bit of a sales strategy there. That's not why we did it, but hey, if you don't think you can, maybe somebody's going to race with two different partners. So I qualified with two different people, and I pretty much guarantees that I get to go. But we really just want to keep things as clean as possible. And I saw both sides of that last year. It wasn't a terrible thing that we allowed a sub. We were in a growth period. We wanted as many teams. That Bethany and her teammate, we wanted those cyborgs there. It was kind of the inaugural. It was the new thing that we added on. It's like with Ruck this year. We're not being crazy serious about Ruck. It's the first year. Teams have shown to be wildly popular. We have to kind of clean up the process a little bit. And you got to go with who helped get you there this year. And one thing I wanted to say about the box, I forgot to bring something up, is it's anytime I'm at an event and I noticed that not a lot of gyms, but a handful of gyms on game day, they forget to, and even leading up to the event, they forget to coach their members that incidental hand and knee contact is allowed. And when I've seen so many people, when you show them that you can kind of use your hands and knees to help balance you as you pretty much crawl your ass over, as long as both feet make contact, and that doesn't have to be the soles. That could be the toes dragging across the sides of the shoes, the heels. Again, you're not going to set any records. They're like, oh my gosh, now I'm not standing up tall on this box. That's when they get scared. So that's a big one. You are required to kind of reset though. You have to stand up and get your hands off the box. And that prevents people from trying to, the age grouper that's a badass trying to gain that system when they know they can use their hands and knees. So anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. We've gone through that when we prepare people for ours. Is like, yeah, you can touch it, you can do this, but you can't box hop. Essentially, keep both hands in the box and just hop over back and forth like you would on a bench. So absolutely stuff like that. And this year we went to 20 for Worlds, right?
Yes,
which I'm excited about. I think it's great. I think it's a good idea.
It'll be. Go ahead.
What kind of brought that up? Just and here's. And for Worlds, so is there going to be room for open waivers at Worlds this year?
So we're having a lot of behind the scenes talks on that right now. And we want to provide, actually there's two cool. I'm glad this came up for the volunteers. That's probably going to be the only people that are allowed to race open will be volunteers. Now, with that being said, we're in the process of working out, a deal, and I'm glad you get to be the first one to kind of get this out there. And this is not like a SOP yet, but we're in the process of really trying to. And again, I think this is going to go a long way in 2024, and possibly implementing this at World in some form or fashion. But let's look 2024, where if you register, we are contemplating the thought process of, okay, Dave registers. You are to your way of giving back to the sport, you are agreeing to doing you're going to judge one person. So let's say 2 hours later, he's like, hey, I raced at 9 this morning. I choose at 10:30, I'm going to jump into the start corral and I'll attach myself to a person and I'm going to be that person's judge. If we can get about 60-70% of people on board with that, because we know we always have 50, 60 judges. It just gets a little tight sometimes. But what it allow us to do two things. And I love this because you've seen the power of it at our gym events. When you get to stay with that person at the end of that competition, you've judged them, but you guys have a bond. I just spent 15 to 45 minutes with you counting your reps. And we always say, except for the elites, we don't want it all being about love and motivation and inspiration. But even with the elites, it kind of comes into play. But for everybody else, yes, we're counting reps, we're monitoring movement standards, but Deka's main mission is to celebrate fitness, motivate, inspire, and love on people. As a judge, that's the number one goal.
Yeah.
So when you get to stay with that person, okay, and you understand the power of, I need to judge them, but that's my person. It might create a lasting relationship where you get to know that person for the rest of your life. So long story short, Dave races at 9. He agrees to come back at a minimum, judge one person. You're going to be in there from anywhere from 28 to 60 minutes. That's what you're giving back to the sport. And then you're done. And we're going to write it in a way where it's not like, it's like, you can't register if you're saying you can't do it. But I think if we word it in a way and we're graciously open and honest and direct while we're doing this, I personally feel 60, 70, 80% of the people will be freaking all in. Because every time we ask somebody to judge, the elites, the age groupers, they always give us an hour. They jump in and they work for an hour. And it cleans the sport up. Now, all of a sudden, dedicated judges going through for everybody, even the open categories, and teams and everything else. So it's something we're working on behind the scenes it's just kind of part of registering. And we were even thought about doing a, maybe a 10, 15% discount on the ticket sale. I don't know. We're talking about a lot, but it's coming. It's eventually going to come. You're going to see this be a thing.
No, that's kind of cool. I don't mind that. I mean, I judge anyway, right? I always get out there, and to be honest, it's a blast. Like it always is. And you get a bond. I find anytime you're judging someone, even though you're judging them, you can't help but cheer for them because
Absolutely.
that's your person. You're like let's go. I know my wife Riley's talked about it a lot when she judged at Worlds last year in the elite waves, and she's like, I think it was Michelle Navarro you were judging. And they built a little relationship starting from there when she judged Michelle. Like just so she's smiling when she thinks about it because it happens, right? And
yep. So, and that's let's look at it. And I love CrossFit, but we're different.
Yeah.
Like if I found out that a judge and an athlete became close friends because of that, to me, that's above and beyond anything that would ever else happen at World Championships or any other event. It's yes, we're going to count the reps. We're going to monitor the movement standards. It's an official mark. Everybody deserves to be judged and everybody should be judged. But at the end of the day, 99% of the reason we exist is to love on our affiliates and love on the people. If the elites and the high level age groupers love Deka, they're going to be more inclined to invite that friend that's 100 pounds overweight in and get them to the start line. And we're going to love on them. It's funny. We find some of our real serious gyms I find myself coaching them off that ledge a little bit. It's like, wait a second, make it a little more about love, motivation, inspiration, and serving these people. But I'm also going to judge you. And it's like, okay, the look and the feel of the event now it's more wholesome, and it becomes it really becomes about celebrating fitness with my community.
That's cool. So I got a question for you about this would be a logistical question.
Yep.
So I go to the Ontario Deka Roadshow. I get in there, I'm running, I put in a good time. I'm sitting 15th in my age group, right?
Okay. 15th in your age group.
I want to go to Worlds. But I don't really know because I'm kind of on the bubble.
Yeah. So
is there a way that I can register ahead of time? And I'm thinking too, from your guys' perspective, where if there's no open wave, then your registrations really can't happen until after September 22nd.
Yeah. September. It's the 16th, I believe, because the last
for the fit. Yes. Yeah.
It's the full weekend after Deka Fit, which I think the 16th and 17th. So mid-September. Yeah, I'm tracking.
Yeah. So mid-September, I can't really register till then to know. So is there a way to register ahead of time? And then if you end up not being able to go, you either get a refund or whatever, or how does that process work is what I'm trying to get at.
That's something we've talked about. I don't know if that's something we're going to be able to implement, but to allow people to kind of claim their spot early. You asked about you talked about how you like the bumping up from 12 to 20.
Yeah.
The reason we did that is because we had about half those age groups, man, they sold out.
Yeah.
It didn't roll down very far. And then some of the younger crowd and the older crowd, it rolled down to like 30, 40, 50th in that spot. And that's okay. So we're going to be able to simply accommodate a larger number, and in some of those age groups, that 18, 19, 20 person is a badass.
Yes.
They're fast because we've got, freaking 50 to 100,000 people competing this year. So if I will say, if you even in the 35 to 39s, 40, 44s into that, the early 50s, those are the crazy packed ones. I'm very confident that those age groups will roll to about 30.
Yeah.
They'll roll to about 28 to 30. That does give you a kind of a good picture. Like if you're in any age group and you're sitting 21, you're damn sure going to get your spot. It's just one of those things, man. It was in New Jersey. There's just going to be a handful of people live on the West Coast that can't travel. We're Texas this year. It's a little more centrally located, but there's just going to be a couple people in that top 20 that damn sure can't travel. Even though we're wildly popular, that's just the case. Yeah. So the elites, we had one or two, like Jack was a roll down. We went to like 14, 12.
And that was due to injuries.
Yeah, exactly. I think the elites will probably roll down to 25, maybe 30 to get 20 there. But I know that got a little off topic. I do think you're gonna punch your ticket to World Championships.
Oh yeah, I'm not talking too much specifically,
but
I'm talking about
it has come up in conversation. It's something that ultimately that's gonna. The simple answer and the direct and honest answer is it's going to depend on how much time and effort Spartan registration has to kind of tweak things for us. Deka threw a major curveball at them, and they've done an amazing job to freaking accommodate. Like, for example, they were the experts. We on the Spartan side were experts at putting on events, but on a busy weekend, it was like, it was 2 or 3. It was like the max across the country, 5 or 6 across the world. We have 25 to 30. Like there's 20 something events this weekend. And in a way, it's as much of a lift to stand that up as it is a standard registration. So it's a lot. And props to Spartan Reg for freaking us, Nelson and I, and all. We throw them so many freaking curveballs. We want to do this. We want to do that. And they're like, guys, it's not that easy. You got a bright idea, Yancy, but it takes a lot of work behind the scenes. And they've done great work, but it would probably be something, they're going to need some time to bake that into the system. So I don't know if we would be able to get that involved, get that plugged in for this year, but I'll darn sure bring it up on our next call.
Yeah. And the other thing too, to talk about the roll down too, what you're talking about. And like last year getting bumped at the last minute or last event last week was kind of it was a definitive possibility. This year, because there has been so many, let's say mile and strongs, I'm talking about now, mile and strongs, most people have got a shot already. Most people have already been. So chances, if you're like in the top 15 or whatever, you're probably already going to be okay. Because even without the roll down, like I watch mine, right? I watch my age group for the strong. It hasn't moved in a while. And there's like 20 events a week, and I'm seeing other guys doing it. It hasn't moved in a while. So it's just some of the guys keep upping themselves, but it's like the same guys keep getting a little bit faster. So I don't think there'll be as big of a bump out this time, but I do think, like you say, there will be a roll down people who can't go and all that stuff. Now, possibly in the fit, because there's not as many of those at last week, like we saw last year, that sets some really fast times.
Yeah. I'm glad that we've had a couple more opportunities, a couple more road shows, a couple of gym hosted Deka Fits. The numbers for this year fits are way higher. Let me tell you, this kind of freaking this blew my mind. Arlene is she helps Cynthia in the affiliate relations department for us. And so keep in mind, there's only There's basically there's 3 weekends in that September. Let's look at this. This is going to be fun. Let's go to September here.
Yep.
August, September. There are, let's see, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 9th, and the 10th, the 16th, and the 17th. There's 3 weekends to put on events. Take a guess how many September events are already scheduled for those 3 weekends across the country and the world.
Oh God, I don't
Gym
know.
hosted events, Deka Strong, Deka Miles.
Probably 50.
80.
80. Wow. And that the next
3
weekend,
weekends.
and the next weekend,
It's just
actually,
gyms. Yeah. They want that last chance qualifier for their people.
Yeah, yeah.
So you nailed it. You're going to see a few people like they're going to either go find those events so they can try to chip a few seconds off their own time, or they're just going to be sitting at home biting their fingernails.
Yeah, that's
the one thing we did, and I think this was a very good step. And again, it was our first World Championships. Is last year you were able, like such and such event could, if Rylan Shadag and David Magida wanted to slip into a gym and have a one-person event. And I don't think there was any cheating going on, but it opened us up for a little bit of gray area stuff, and we kicked that out. You have to go to a large scale gym event where chances of cheating go way down because there's a lot of eyes on the event. You'd have to have a lot of people be involved in that big cheating scandal. So I don't think that's ever happened, but we just wanted to clean things up a little bit. So that's no longer allowed.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me. I agree with you. I don't think people were cheating and everything, but it does open that door. And
because we wanted this.
Optics are everything, man. Optics are everything, right? So
we were able to, Meg and Shadag and those type of cyborgs that are good for branding. Trust me, good for the brand. They were able to get in there and they should have been there because they show what they can do, man. That's I'll tell you what, it's going to be in. Meg and Lauren going toe to toe. Carly Wopat is going to be in the mix this year. Mm-hmm. Dang, dude. I'll never forget standing. So there were 6 rowers facing 6 rowers. They were like, I had them touching almost. And they dropped, they threw their rams down. They didn't drop them. They threw the rams down. And all of a sudden you had 12 dudes. And I remember Joe DeSena, it kind of freaked him out a little bit because he was there and he said, it's Kent, Shadag, Kevin Gregory, Matt Stankiewicz, and all these bodies, and it's like amazing. It's like a bunch of freaking Spartans, like the movie The Spartans. And Joe's like, holy shit, dude, our Spartan OCR races don't look like this at the start line. No. And I was so pumped up by that. And they got on the rowers, and everybody's ripping like a 130 or better, and it was like this hurricane of like fan belts, just fan was like, and I looked around. I'm looking at Joe. I was like, this is the shit right here, dude. This is awesome because those rowers are in this tiny little area. So Strong was so freaking fun to watch, man. It was just a bunch of badasses.
Strong was great for me. The mile was just the best to watch.
Oh, so fun.
That mix of everything. It's just
so fun.
I loved the layout. I loved the competition. It stayed tight. The finish with Kent and Ryland, like just awesome.
Oh my gosh. So we're going to, and I love the fact that each event will have its own day. Really going to allow us to, it'll still be a packed day because you got to realize with the female and the male age groups you're launching, for some of those age groups, we're going to have 2 waves.
Yeah.
And what I will do on the roll down there, so everybody, I know this question's come up several times, like, you might have finished 14th overall, but you might find yourself in that top 10 because of the roll down. We're going to put the 10 fastest that register in that first wave, of course. So if you're not top 10, that doesn't mean that you won't make the first wave.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, Matt, I know you're busy. I know you got a busy night, so I think we'll probably cut it there. Most important thing takeaway right now, Deka Fit Roadshow in Canada. Still time to sign up.
Yes.
It's in the Hamilton area. It's going to be a great event, really fast, run by good people, and get your Deka trifecta done, get your qualifying mark in for Worlds. And Yancy, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for putting all this out there.
Thank you,
really appreciate it. And man, it's become a big thing and it's growing. I think I will say this right now. I think we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 8 or 9 Canadian gyms. It's growing and it's just going to keep getting bigger. So thank you.
I love those batons up there behind you. And listen, to my fellow Canadians, I can say that I'm a dual citizen. I was born in British Columbia. Listen, much love. I know the event's going to go off without a hitch up there. We're super excited. And what I'm really excited is about seeing more of my my fellow Canucks down here in Dallas, hopefully at World Championships on the elite and age group side, and maybe even some volunteers. Everybody racing teams. Just we're a little more World Championship feel this year because I know we'll have some more Canadians. So much love to each and every one of you across from the eastern side to the western side, all you Canadians. Much love.
Yeah, we're coming down with a small army, and we're not coming back empty-handed.
Good stuff, bro. Thank y'all so much.